Did you ever think your wife would cheat on you with an old man? Yeah, me neither. But here we are. It's funny. You grow up thinking betrayal's gonna look a certain way. Like it's gonna be all red lipstick and secret hotel rooms and some young hotshot in a leather jacket. Maybe someone taller than you, better looking. Someone who makes you feel small the second you lay eyes on him. You don't picture a grandpa. You don't picture a man who needs help standing up, who smells like mothballs and Vicks Vapor Rub, sneaking around with your wife behind your back. But life's got a twisted sense of humor sometimes. It started out small, the way these things always do. Little stuff. Linda took the job at Maplewood Retirement Home about a year ago. Said she wanted to do something meaningful. I figured it was a midlife thing, helping others, feeling needed, and I didn't question it. I was proud of her, honestly. She had a soft spot for old folks. Always said they had the best stories. Plus, after our kids moved out, after Sam went to college and Lucy got her own apartment, the house got real quiet. I figured maybe that quiet was just getting to her. First couple months, everything seemed normal. She'd come home smiling, tired, talking about how Mrs. Jenkins snuck cookies into her room or how Mr. Alvarez tried to dance during physical therapy and threw his back out. It was sweet, in a way. Linda had always been a people person. She lit up talking about the folks she took care of. And then, it started. At first, it was just the extra shifts. We're short-staffed, she said. Per Mr. Patterson fell again. They need me to cover nights. Made sense. Old folks need round-the-clock care. It didn't seem suspicious. Except it didn't stop. What started as once in a while became twice a week. Then 3. Then 4. Then some weeks, she barely made it home for dinner at all. I'd sit there at the kitchen table, a plate of food getting cold in front of me, while the clock on the wall ticked louder and louder. I told myself not to overthink it. This was noble work. She was doing something important. But then the small things started adding up. She got a new phone. Said her old one broke, which was weird, cause Linda's the type to keep her phones until they're practically held together with duct tape. Then there were the text messages she suddenly didn't want me to see. The late-night showers she never used to take. The way she started dressing up a little more before work, not much, just a bit more lipstick, a little more perfume. And the worst part? She stopped talking to me about anything real. Our conversation shrank to grocery lists and weather forecasts. It was like living with a polite stranger. I'm not a jealous guy. Never have been. But even an idiot knows when something's not right. Still, I didn't want to believe it. I loved Linda. I trusted her. We had 20 years together, 2 grown kids, a mortgage, a whole life built side by side. You don't just throw that away because your gut's acting up one night after too many beers. So I played it cool. Asked how her day was. Got the same canned answer every time. Busy. Same old, same old. And every night, after she fell asleep early on the couch, I'd sit there staring at her, at the woman who used to be my best friend, and wonder if maybe I was going crazy. Maybe it was just burnout. Stress. Maybe she needed time and I needed patience. Maybe. One night, though, it got harder to ignore. It was a Thursday. I remember because Thursdays used to be our pizza and movie night. Even when the kids were little, even when money was tight, we always made time for it. But that night, she texted me around 6, said she had to stay late. Some emergency with a new patient. Except I drove past Maplewood on my way home from work, totally by accident, just trying to avoid traffic on Main Street, and the parking lot was almost empty. No lights on inside, except a few in the lobby. Her car wasn't there. At first, I figured maybe she ran out to get dinner or supplies or something. But hours passed, and she never mentioned it when she got home. Didn't say a word. Just walked in, kissed me on the forehead like I was one of her patients, and said she was too tired for dinner. I sat there at the table long after she went to bed, the cold pizza still sitting in the box, getting soggy. And for the first time, it really hit me. I was losing her. And I didn't even know to who. Or to what. At that point, the old me, the trusting, easygoing me should have woken up and done something. Confronted her. Demanded answers. But I didn't. I told myself to wait. I needed proof. Something undeniable. Because if I was wrong, if I was just some paranoid husband with too much time on his hands, I knew I'd never forgive myself for accusing her. Turns out, I should have trusted my gut. You see, betrayal doesn't always show up in a fancy sports car. Sometimes it hobbles into your life wearing orthopedic shoes and a sweater vest. But we'll get there. Trust me, it gets worse. After that Thursday night, I started noticing patterns. You don't want to. You want to believe it's all in your head, that you're just stressed, tired, imagining things because you watched one too many crime shows. But when you love someone, you know their patterns better than you know your own. And Linda's pattern? It was changing fast. She stopped leaving her phone out on the counter like she used to. Now it was either in her pocket or plugged in next to the bed face down. Always face down. She used to call me from work sometimes. Little check-ins. "Hey, just wanted to hear your voice," she'd say. No? Nothing. If I called her, it would ring once, twice, then straight to voicemail. Text her? I'd get a busy an hour later if I got anything at all. I told myself, maybe she's just overwhelmed. Maplewood was short-staffed. Elder care isn't easy. Maybe she's just tired. But deep down, I knew better. Then came the new wardrobe. At first, it was just a nicer pair of sneakers. Better support for being on my feet all day, she said. Then a few new blouses. Gotta look professional. Then a perfume I didn't recognize, light and sweet. Something you wore when you wanted to be noticed, not when you were scrubbing floors or helping someone out of a wheelchair. I tried not to say anything. Tried to be supportive. Tried to tell myself I was overthinking it. But the worst part? The distance. It was like she was somewhere else all the time. Even when we were in the same room, it felt like there were miles of space between us. We'd sit on the couch, watching TV like we used to, and I could feel it, the way she leaned just slightly away from me. The way her laugh didn't reach her eyes anymore. You can't fake closeness. You can pretend, sure. You can go through the motions. But real love? You feel it, or you don't. And buddy, let me tell you, I didn't feel it anymore. One night, I finally asked her about it. We were sitting at the table, picking at takeout Chinese food, and the silence was thicker than the sweet and sour sauce. I cleared my throat and said, "You good? You seem different lately." She looked up, chopsticks in hand, and gave me this tight little smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Just tired," she said. "Work's been crazy." I nodded like an idiot. Because what was I supposed to say? "No, honey, I think you're slipping away from me and I don't know how to stop it." Yeah, that would have gone over real well. Instead, I just stuffed another dumpling into my mouth and let the silence take over again. That night, after she went to bed early, again, I stayed up alone. Sitting there in the dim light of the living room, beer in hand, TV flickering in front of me, I thought about our life. The birthdays, the vacations, the fights we got through, the house we built together. All of it, starting to feel like a story that was already over, even though I was still standing there in the middle of it. I thought about checking her phone. I mean, it was right there, charging on the nightstand. I could have picked it up, scrolled through her messages, found out the truth right then and there. But I didn't. Not because I trusted her, not anymore. Because I was scared of what I'd find. There's a special kind of cowardice that comes from loving somebody too much. And that night, I wore it like a second skin. I told myself I just needed more time. More proof. Something I couldn't ignore. And believe me, buddy, I got it. Sooner than I ever wanted. There's only so long you can sit in your own house feeling like a ghost before you snap. For me, it was a Saturday morning. Linda said she had an early shift, some kind of orientation for a new batch of residents. She kissed me on the cheek on her way out the door, smelling like that new perfume again, and told me not to wait up because she might be late. That kiss. I don't know, man. It felt like someone handing you an empty coffee cup and smiling like it's full. I stood there for a good 10 minutes after the door shut, just staring at it. Then I grabbed my keys. I wasn't going to do anything crazy. I wasn't going to kick down doors or start a scene. I just needed to see. Maybe I'd find her at work, doing exactly what she said. Maybe I'd realize I was the fool, and we could laugh about it years later over Thanksgiving dinner. Or maybe I'd find what I was afraid of. Maplewood was about 15 minutes away. Small place. Brick building. A neat little sign out front with a sunflower painted on it. It looked peaceful. Safe. Exactly the kind of place you'd want to park your parents when you couldn't take care of them yourself. When I pulled into the lot, I felt stupid. What was I doing? Checking up on my wife like some jealous teenager? But then I spotted her car, Linda's old Honda, tucked into a corner spot. And something fell off right away. There weren't a lot of other cars in the lot. A couple of nurses' vehicles maybe, and a minivan that probably belonged to a visiting family. But mostly, it was empty. And it was quiet. Real quiet. Not like a building full of busy caregivers getting old folks ready for breakfast. Still, maybe it was normal. Maybe I was just looking for reasons to freak out. I told myself that as I got out of the truck. Told myself that as I walked up to the glass front doors. I peered in through the window. Nobody at the front desk. No buzzing of nurses. Just a few old folks in wheelchairs watching a muted TV show in the common room. No Linda. I stood there like an idiot, unsure what to do. I couldn't exactly barge in. And besides, what would I even say? Hi, I'm Tom, Linda's husband. Just thought I'd check if she's cheating on me today. Yeah, right? I turned to leave. And that's when I saw it. Around the side of the building, past a row of rose bushes and a maintenance shed, there was a little garden courtyard. Some benches, some flowers, a fountain that wasn't running. And there, sitting on one of the benches, Linda, leaning in close. Too close. Next to a man. An old man. And not old like 60 or 70, either. Old like walker, oxygen tank, age spots. The kind of old where every movement looks like it costs you something. He was smiling at her, this big dopey grin like she was the first ray of sunshine he'd seen in 100 years. And Linda. She was laughing, touching his hand. I stood there, behind the bushes, feeling like a punchline to a joke I didn't understand yet. I wasn't even mad. Not yet. Mostly, I was confused. This was who she was sneaking around for? I watched them sit there, heads close together, talking like a couple of teenagers at a drive-in movie. Every now and then she'd glance around like she didn't want to get caught, which was ironic, considering she didn't spot the idiot husband standing 20 feet away, heart cracking right there on the pavement. They sat there for a good half hour. Finally, she helped him up, slow and gentle, like he was made of glass, and they shuffled back toward a side entrance together, disappearing inside. And me? I just stood there. Felt the sun beating down on me. Felt the sweat sticking my shirt to my back. Felt stupid. Because it hit me all at once. It wasn't just some fling with a coworker. It wasn't some random guy at a bar. It was personal. Linda wasn't chasing youth or adventure. She was chasing something else entirely. Something I didn't understand yet. But I was damn sure gonna find out. I didn't go home right away. I sat there in my truck, engine running, watching the entrance like I was casing the place for a heist. Part of me wanted to storm in there, drag her out by the elbow, demand answers right there on the lawn. But a bigger part of me didn't want to know. Because when you rip the Band-Aid off, you can't put it back on. You can't go back to pretending everything's fine. Eventually, I pulled away from Maplewood and drove aimlessly for a while, past gas stations and strip malls, past the bar where Linda and I had our first date. I ended up at the park. It was empty except for a few ducks waddling around the pond. I sat there, watching them fight over crumbs, thinking about my marriage and wondering if it was already over, and I just hadn't gotten the memo yet. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, after Linda left for her shift, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Maplewood. A woman answered, bright, chipper voice like she was auditioning for a commercial. Maplewood Retirement Home. This is Janet. How can I help you? I cleared my throat. Hi. Yeah. I'm looking for a resident there. Name's Wilson. Long pause. Then, oh, you must mean Mr. Wilson. Such a sweetie. He's in room 17B. Bingo. I thanked her, hung up, and stared at the phone. Room 17B. A real person. Not some coworker or family friend. A resident. An old man who needed help getting out of a chair. And somehow, he was the center of the wrecking ball swinging through my marriage. I needed to know more. That afternoon, I parked down the street from Maplewood and waited until Linda's car showed up. I watched her walk in, purse over her shoulder, humming to herself. No guilt. No hesitation. Like she wasn't living two lives. I gave it 15 minutes, then followed. Inside, it smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. I signed in at the front desk, here to visit Mr. Wilson, and the receptionist waved me toward the east wing. Room 17B was halfway down a narrow hallway. I stood outside for a second, gathering myself. What was I even doing? But then I knocked. A raspy voice called, "Come in." I pushed open the door. There he was. Mr. Wilson. 80, maybe older. Thin white hair. Big glasses. A plaid blanket across his lap. And sitting in the chair next to his bed. Linda, holding his hand. Both of them turned when they saw me. Linda's face went pale. "Tom," she said, standing up so fast she nearly knocked the chair over. What are you doing here?" I didn't answer. I looked at Mr. Wilson instead. He smiled, a slow, genuine smile that showed more warmth than Linda had in months. "You must be Linda's husband," he said, voice cracking like dry leaves. "She talks about you all the time." "Talks about me?" Linda was frozen, like a kid caught sneaking cookies before dinner. I cleared my throat. Yeah, I said. I'm Tom. Nice to meet you, sir. He chuckled. Name's Arthur Wilson. Arthur, if you don't mind. I nodded stiffly. And then, without missing a beat, Mr. Wilson said something that flipped my world upside down. You know, he said, smiling at Linda like she was his whole world, I've decided to leave her everything. I blinked. Excuse me. Linda stepped forward quickly, waving her hands. Mr. Wilson, we talked about this, she said in a low, frantic voice. You don't need to. But he cut her off with a laugh. Oh, hush. I made up my mind. He turned back to me. She's the only one who's been kind to me. My kids don't visit. My grandkids barely know I'm alive. Linda, she's family now. He patted her hand affectionately. I changed my will last week. She's getting the house, the savings, everything. I stared at them, stunned. Not just because some old man was handing my wife a fortune. Not just because she hadn't told me. But because she wasn't just sneaking around behind my back. She was planning a future without me in it. After hearing Mr. Wilson say he was leaving everything to Linda, I knew I needed proof. Not just for myself. For the lawyers, if it came to that. Because somehow I didn't think Linda was planning to share her new fortune with her old husband. So the next day, while Linda was at work and Mr. Wilson was likely napping, I paid a little visit to Maplewood. I told the receptionist I was dropping off a special pillow for Arthur. He had mentioned back pain when I was there. She smiled sweetly, waved me through. I walked down that now familiar hallway to room 17B. The door was unlocked. Mr. Wilson wasn't there. Probably down the hall playing bingo or sleeping through it. Perfect. I stepped inside and pulled a small camera from my jacket, one of those mini spy cams you can get off Amazon for $50. Not much bigger than a golf ball. I stuck it behind a stack of books on a high shelf across from the bed. Made sure it had a clean view of the room. Nothing fancy. No wires. Just a battery and a memory card. I adjusted it carefully, felt like I was planting a bomb, and then got the hell out of there. All I had to do was wait. That night, I sat alone in my truck with my laptop balanced on the dashboard, watching the live feed. At first, it was boring. Mr. Wilson snoring in his chair. An aide bringing him dinner, mashed potatoes, and something gray that might have been chicken once upon a time. Then around 8, the door creaked open. And there she was. Linda. Still in her light blue scrubs, her hair pulled back, a bag slung over her shoulder. My heart jumped into my throat. I leaned closer to the screen. Linda walked in quietly, setting her bag on the chair. She checked the hallway, a quick glance, then closed the door. Locked it. That little click of the lock made something inside me twist. Mr. Wilson smiled the second he saw her, like a puppy seeing its owner come home. Linda crossed the room, slow, familiar, like she'd done it 100 times before, and knelt next to his chair. They talked for a few minutes. I couldn't hear them, just saw lips moving. Linda laughed at something he said, touching his arm lightly. Then she stood up, helped him out of his chair slow, careful, and led him over to the bed. I remember thinking, maybe she's just helping him lie down. Maybe. But she didn't tuck him in. She didn't straighten his blanket. She sat on the edge of the bed next to him. And then she kissed him. Not a peck on the cheek. Not a sweet, nurse-to-patient gesture. A real kiss. Long. Slow. Mouth to mouth. I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. On the screen, Linda pulled back, smiling at him, that same smile she used to give me when we were kids. Then she stood up, untied the strings at the top of her scrubs, and let the fabric slide down her arms. Underneath, she was wearing a black tank top, tighter than anything she usually wore to work. Mr. Wilson, God help me, reached out with shaky hands and touched her hips. Linda didn't flinch. She leaned into his hands, encouraged it. And then, like some twisted scene out of a bad joke, she climbed onto the bed with him. I watched in disbelief as she pulled the blanket up over both of them. The camera couldn't catch everything, thank God, but it caught enough. The movement under the blanket. The way Linda's head tilted back. The way Mr. Wilson's bony hand gripped her arm for support. It was clumsy. Awkward. Sad, almost. But make no mistake, it was happening. Right there. In that tiny, lemon-scented room. My wife. With a man who could have been her grandfather. I sat there in the dark, watching through the windshield, feeling like the whole world had tilted sideways. I wanted to shut the laptop. I wanted to smash it. But I couldn't look away. Because somewhere deep down, I needed to see it. Needed to burn it into my memory so I'd never, ever make excuses for her again. After a few minutes, mercifully, it was over. Linda sat up, smoothing her clothes like she'd just finished organizing a closet, not cheating on her husband with an 80-year-old man. She kissed Mr. Wilson on the forehead, said something I couldn't hear, grabbed her bag, and left the room. And me? I sat there another hour before I could even move. Because it wasn't just the betrayal. It was what it said about me. That somehow, even a man one bad fall away from hospice had something she wanted more than what we had built together. After that night with the camera, something inside me shut off. No more doubts. No more excuses. Just cold, clear facts. Linda had already left me. She just hadn't packed her bags yet. I didn't confront her right away. Didn't yell. Didn't throw things. I just watched. Sometimes the best way to beat a liar is to let them keep talking. And sure enough, Linda started getting careless. One evening, she came home late, again, and headed straight for the back porch with her phone. She had a glass of wine in one hand, and that giddy, secretive look she used to get when she planned birthday surprises. Only this time, I wasn't the one getting the surprise. I stayed inside, lights off, keeping low near the kitchen window. The screen door was cracked open just enough to hear. Linda dialed someone. I didn't catch the name at first. But when the other person picked up, it was clear it was her best friend, Jess. The same Jess who helped plan our anniversary party last year. The same Jess who toasted us with "to forever." Yeah, that Jess. Linda's voice was light, almost giddy. "It's almost done," she said, swirling her wine. "The will's changed. Once he's gone, it's all mine." I gripped the counter hard enough to make my knuckles pop. Jess laughed on the other end. "Girl, you're evil," she said, half admiring. Linda giggled. "It's not evil. It's smart. I deserve it. After all the years I wasted playing house with Tom? Please. I earned this. Earned it." That word stuck in my head like a fishhook. I pressed closer to the door, my heart pounding. Linda kept talking, dropping poison like it was nothing. "I'll leave Tom the minute the money clears," she said. "No drama. No tears. I'll have the check, the house, and my freedom." Jess asked something I couldn't hear. Linda laughed again, a low, mean laugh I didn't recognize anymore. "Of course he doesn't know," she said. "He's too busy fixing the garage door or whatever boring crap he does. Poor guy. Doesn't even realize he's already a ghost." That one hit. Right in the chest. But I stayed quiet. Because while she was busy counting her chickens, I was starting to hatch a plan of my own. If Linda thought she could play me for a fool, if she thought she could steal everything we built and walk away smiling, she had another thing coming. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to beg. No. I was going to beat her at her own game. First step was simple: documentation. I still had the footage from the spy cam, the one showing her and Mr. Wilson getting cozy. Not just immoral. Legally actionable. Elder abuse, if you wanted to get technical. Even if Mr. Wilson consented, the law didn't exactly smile on caregivers getting that personal with vulnerable patients. Next step, a friend. I called up Brian, an old buddy of mine from high school who went on to become a lawyer. The kind of guy who could smell blood in the water from 2 counties away. I didn't tell him everything yet. Just said I might need some advice about a delicate matter involving my marriage. Brian was in. Last step, patience. I started gathering every little piece of dirt I could find. Photos of Linda sneaking out of Mr. Wilson's room. Screenshots of suspicious bank activity from our joint account. Copies of our marriage license, insurance policies, and property deeds. I wasn't just gonna leave her. I was gonna trap her. Bleed her dry. Make sure that when she walked away from me, she wasn't carrying anything but a handful of regrets and a bunch of angry lawyers snapping at her heels. If Linda thought betrayal was a game, I was about to show her what losing really looked like. And the best part? She'd never even see it coming. It all came crashing down faster than I expected. 2 days after I heard Linda's little wine-soaked confession on the porch, the call came. Mr. Wilson was dead. Heart failure, they said. In his sleep. Peaceful. Clean. 1 minute he was sitting up eating Jell-O. The next minute, gone. Linda came home that afternoon putting on the performance of a lifetime. She burst through the front door like a tornado of grief, tears streaming down her face, snot bubbling at her nose. I stood in the kitchen, wiping down the counter, watching the show unfold. She dropped her purse on the floor, stumbled toward me, and collapsed into my arms like she was auditioning for an Oscar. "Oh, Tom," she sobbed, her body shaking against mine. "He's gone. Arthur's gone. He died. Just like that." I patted her back like you would a stranger who fell into you at the airport. There, I said flatly. She didn't even notice the flatness. Too busy drowning in fake tears. I could feel it. Underneath the sobbing, the drama, the hand-wringing, there was a flicker of something else. Relief. Excitement. Because in her mind, the final piece had fallen into place. The old man was gone. The money was hers. The future, her real future, was waiting. If only she knew. The next morning, she was back to her normal self. No tears. No morning black. Just jeans, a cute top, and a bounce in her step. I'm meeting with the lawyer today, she chirped over coffee. Just paperwork. Arthur was so organized. I nodded, sipping my coffee, pretending to read the newspaper. That's great, I said. I even smiled. She smiled back, wide and triumphant, like the cat who finally ate the canary. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. Because behind that smile, she had no idea her world was about to implode. While she was at her meeting, I called Brian, my lawyer buddy. I laid it all out. The footage of her and Mr. Wilson. The audio of her bragging about scamming me. The financial documents showing suspicious activity on our joint accounts. And, the cherry on top, copies of Mr. Wilson's updated will, leaving everything to Linda. Brian's voice crackled through the phone, low and gleeful. Tom, he said, you're sitting on a gold mine. We're not just talking divorce here. We're talking full-blown legal annihilation. It didn't take long to get the ball rolling. Brian filed paperwork to secure all of our joint assets, emergency orders, injunctions, the whole 9 yards. Meanwhile, he tipped off Mr. Wilson's family anonymously about the inappropriate relationship between their late father and his caregiver. He didn't even have to say much. Turns out, Wilson's kids already didn't trust Linda. They just needed a reason to come swinging. And buddy, did they swing hard. Within 24 hours, the family filed an emergency motion to contest the will, citing undue influence. Translation? Linda was accused of manipulating a frail, elderly man into changing his will under suspicious circumstances. The court froze the estate faster than you could say, nice try. Linda came home from her meeting looking like she'd seen a ghost. She slammed the door behind her, stomped into the kitchen, and threw her purse down with a loud thud. I was sitting at the table, sipping sweet tea, watching the second act of the tragedy play out. They froze the will, she hissed, her face twisted in rage. They said there's an investigation into my relationship with Arthur. An investigation? Like I did something wrong. I raised my eyebrows, feigning innocence. That's rough, I said. She paced the kitchen, muttering under her breath, tugging at her hair. This is a mistake, she said. They can't do this. Arthur loved me. He wanted me to have it. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. Because no matter how much she stomped and shouted, it wouldn't change the facts. And the facts were simple. She wasn't getting a penny. Then came the house. While Linda was busy trying to figure out how to salvage the will, Brian filed for fault-based divorce citing adultery, misconduct, and financial fraud. And thanks to the evidence I had, the photos, the videos, the bank statements, I was awarded full ownership of our home, both vehicles, and the majority of our savings. Linda? She got the privilege of keeping her clothes. That's it. No car. No house. No furniture. No savings. She moved into a cheap motel across town, the kind with flickering neon signs and a vending machine that only sold expired snacks. The life she thought she was trading up for had crumbled into dust. But the best part, the absolute best part, was yet to come. Turns out, when a retirement home catches wind that one of their caregivers seduced a patient for financial gain. Yeah, they don't take that lightly. Linda was terminated effective immediately from Maplewood. The official reason was violation of professional ethics. The real reason? She was a lawsuit waiting to happen, and they couldn't kick her to the curb fast enough. She didn't even get a chance to clean out her locker. A security guard handed her a cardboard box in the parking lot with her name scribbled on the side. I know because I watched it happen. Sat there in my truck across the street, sipping a Coke, feeling lighter than I had in months. She stood there in the lot, clutching that box like a woman who just realized the winning lottery ticket was a fake. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just stood there, staring at nothing. Like maybe if she stood there long enough, she could rewind time and undo every stupid, greedy choice she made. Spoiler, she couldn't. The day she finally came to the house to collect her things, she looked like a shell of the woman I used to know. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, eyes hollow. She didn't say a word. Just loaded 2 trash bags of clothes into the trunk of a rusted-out Toyota Corolla. Not even her own car, probably borrowed from Jess. I stood on the porch, arms crossed, watching her. I thought maybe she'd say something. Apologize. Beg. But she didn't. She just climbed into the driver's seat, slammed the door, and pulled away without looking back. And you know what? Neither did I. Funny how life works. You spend years building a future with someone, a home, memories, dreams, thinking you're on the same team. And then one day you wake up and realize you were just the warm-up act for their real ambitions. But that's the thing about dreams built on lies. They don't last. Linda thought she was getting a mansion, a bank account full of zeros, and a new life. Instead, she got a motel room, a cardboard box, and a permanent black mark on her record. As for me, I got my life back. Clean, quiet, free. And let me tell you, freedom tastes a hell of a lot better than betrayal ever did.